LEGO Ideas is an immensely popular theme, giving us some epic sets over the years such as Home Alone, The Medieval Blacksmith, Saturn V, The Office, and more. The next Ideas release, though, is going to be the Viking Village, and in this video, I'm going to break it down in detail, showing you the interesting pieces, cool building techniques, and nuances I see in the official images. At the end, I'll give you my take on whether or not it's going to be an instant classic. The Viking Village, with its 2,103 pieces, will cost $130 and be released on October 1st. Here in the United States, it will be a Target exclusive, but should also be available at lego.com and LEGO stores. Now, if you're worried about getting LEGO Insiders points, fear not, because you still get those points when you make purchases at Target, just like you did under the VIP program. In the set description, LEGO points out that we are getting 3 buildable sections: a forge, a longhouse, and a watchtower. This is similar in some ways to the new Eldorado Fortress, which is also separable and able to be reconfigured, although I'm not sure this one has the same reconfiguration possibilities. The first thing I noticed was that each of these sections is unique. Yes, they are all predominantly reddish brown and various shades of tan, but note that they use different building techniques. The forge is much more of an open concept, understandably so, and uses snotted tiles to form the walls. The medium nougat 1x6 tiles here look great next to the reddish-brown round columns. The longhouse is very striking in its use of bow slopes and tiles to add texture along the side walls. The brick-built door is very nicely constructed, and the snot work for the front wall is really well done. Check it out! There's a mix of reddish brown and dark brown plates on their sides, capped off by 1x2 plates with bars. The doors are then fastened to them with clips, and the result is a pretty smooth operation. The watchtower might just be my favorite building of the lot, though. You've got this incredible snot staircase that is reminiscent of Rivendell and even the Lion Knight's castle. And note the different types of slopes being used here. It makes the stairs look very irregular and interesting. Like the longhouse, the tower has a brick-built door, but there's a lot more dark tan mixed in with the reddish brown on the facade of the building. Not only that, but it looks like we get a considerable concentration of dark brown pieces in this section, as there are, by my count, 36 dark brown circles. Now, while this piece isn't unique, as it comes in about 70 other sets, no other set comes with as many. Metalbeard's Sea Cow came with 28, which is the second highest amount in the set now. Of course, the most eye-catching part of this set, to me, is the bridge. This set looks great and is far superior to when LEGO first came out with the single molded bridge piece for the Forbidden Island way back in 1989. Instead of the pre-molded piece, we get a much more complex build with black arm pieces attached to 1x2 plates with a short bar, and on top of those are 1x2 door rail pieces in dark tan, which slightly fill the gaps between the wood planks. The bridge overall, I think, looks really sweet. Inside these buildings are some interior details. The tower is the most sparsely decorated of the 3, with just what looks like a pumpkin on the ground level and a ladder to climb up to the second level. The longhouse has a really cool seat for the Viking King that makes nice use of medium nougat 1x3 jumper plates. Next to that are some banners and a table. In the middle of the floor is a central fire pit where our 4 minifigs can prepare and eat their food. There's also a small cave in the set, which is now seemingly a common appearance in LEGO sets. There was one in Rivendell, the new Eldorado Fortress, the Lighthouse, and of course the new Gringotts has that whole underground cave feel for the vaults. This one is cozy and serves as a resource for minerals and metals for our village blacksmith. Yet my favorite interior is the forge. It has this large fireplace, an anvil, some tools hanging on the back wall, and a barrel full of weapons. These details are a nice touch and can help put a set over the top when I consider purchasing it. In fact, the details here remind me a bit of the old dwarves' mine from way back in 2007. The exterior of the set also has details, including some fish hanging by the tower, some barrels of ale under the bridge, and what looks to be a tombstone outside of the forge. White tiles, rounded slopes, and modified plates provide a wintry look, and the same is true for the white pieces that are dotted along the roofs of the build. One commonality among the best LEGO sets of the last couple years is the use of angles. If you've watched my breakdown videos in the past, you know I'm a huge fan of how LEGO is introducing us to all sorts of subtle angles in our builds. In this set, we see angles appear in a couple of ways. First, there are 3 distinct roof techniques. The tower roof looks fantastic with the curved slopes on their sides at the top. Now, I'm not sure how this is attached because the images don't show that very clearly, but I think it might be through brick and hinge plates and then putting the plates on top of those. The roof for the forge is really interesting. It has the brown beams across at the top, which look great. The roof itself is just a tan 6x12 plate with some tiles on it, and then what I think is a really cool touch, some dark tan 2x2 bow slopes that cross at the top. I'm not a huge fan of using the white plant stem right now as the smoke plume, but it is a creative use of the piece, and as I look at it more, maybe it looks a little bit better. Still, it's just the 4th set with this piece in white, so it's nice to see it more readily available. The star of the roof show, though, is the longhouse. LEGO brought back the 1x4 tiles with these printed Viking snakes, albeit with a slightly different print. This one is a bit wider in the middle, but given that it's been about 15 years since we got the original print, this is clutch. The nice roofing details don't stop there, though. There are some large tan plates on the longhouse with other plates and tiles on them, but note the double cheese slopes and cheese slopes along the bottom of the roof. These look incredible and add an excellent touch of detail for a sod thatched roof to the look of the set. Interestingly, the roofs for the forge and longhouse both appear to be freestanding, which makes for easy removal and thus better play access. Another use of angles is the shoreline. Note how the wooden walkway comes together in the middle at a 45-degree angle. This is an excellent touch and makes the set look really fresh. This angle allows for the longhouse to be at a different angle than that of the forge, which promises to make the build more varied and thus better overall. It's more interesting to do it that way. At one edge of the walkway is a very cool looking tree with an upside down bar with 3 prongs as the roots. There is a little gap between that piece and the rest of the tree, so it's not quite as seamless as I was hoping, but I think it still looks really good. The foliage for this tree is also placed upside down, and the white plant stems at the top effectively portray freshly fallen snow. Now, there are a number of interesting pieces, some of which I alluded to earlier. Beyond those, we are getting some great pieces in medium nougat, such as the 2x2 wedge slope and the 1x2 grill for the first time in this color. We also are getting the 1x2 groove brick for just the second time, and we're getting some dark brown 1x2 jumper plates, which are still pretty scarce. I also want to make note of some potential printed piece. On top of those 1x4 Viking snake prints, we're getting what looks to be some prints for the ale barrels and the tombstone. It's hard to tell from this, but I don't see any ridges for stickers on these pieces, which leads me to think we could be getting some prints. Finally, there are prints on the Viking shields, which I think look fantastic. One other thing I noticed is on the back of this set, check it out. There's this really cool pine tree that gives us the new upright leaf pieces in dark green for just the second time, and for the first time in white. Those of you hoping to build some great pine trees for your winter village scenes are going to be happy to get your hands on this piece. Now let's quickly go over the minifigs. They all have printed legs with printed shoes. The torsos look splendid as well. I especially like the vial printing on the archer's torso. The female warrior's hairpiece is really cool, and I'm a huge fan of the dark tan spiky shoulder pads for the king. This piece was used earlier this year for a Groot minifig, but works really well here as well. Before we wind down, it's worth comparing the actual set to the original Ideas entry. One big similarity is the piece count, which is right around 2,100 for both. Beyond that, and the overall subject matter, there are a number of differences, which I can understand might turn some fans off from the set, especially if you were expecting something similar or very similar to the original. The fan submission had 5 buildings. This one has 4 if you include the 2 different types of towers. And the blacksmith house was left out of the official set. The original made much more usage of dark brown pieces, whereas this one uses a lot of 1x1 round bricks in large quantities and some plates and cheese slopes in this color sprinkled throughout the rest of the set. The rock work is also very different in its execution. In the original, you used much more of a traditional block stacking technique rather than the snot techniques used in this official set. The brick-built bridge on the official version is definitely an upgrade from the single molded version in the original, and the different roofing styles on the official set is refreshing. Finally, the angled nature of the official version makes it significantly wider than the original, at least in appearance. This gives it a more imposing look and makes for a more impressive display piece. However, it also takes up a bit more space, so if you're limited in how much you can display, the set's 18-inch width might be a problem, although that's not much compared to a Rivendell or some other big sets. In the end, if you were hoping for an identical version of the Ideas proposal, you might face some initial disappointment. However, I think this set looks great and captures the spirit of the original. There are a number of fun building techniques included, along with some pieces in new colors that make this set appealing to adult builders. The display presence is strong for this set, although it doesn't pack the same punch as the Office, the Medieval Blacksmith, or even the Fender Stratocaster sets, which come in at roughly the same price. The bottom line is that this set will appeal to a number of adult and teenage LEGO fans due to its excellent value and potential for family fun. Add to that the pent-up demand for Viking-themed sets, and you have the makings of a hot commodity. This is definitely a set I'm adding to my wish list. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and always remember to keep building together.